All right, so in this question, we want to evaluate a value of a function, f of 2. Then we want to determine the domain and the range and all of this from the graph of a function. So let's start with the first one. First of all, we want to determine what is f of 2. So we can understand here, if we are looking for f of 2, that x is 2, all right? So we're going to go to the 2 here, and then that's on the x, and then we're going to trace the vertical line and the point where you're going to intersect the graph over here, this one, we're going to make the we're going to trace right now the horizontal line from that point. And the image of the point will be the intersection right here. So it is -1. So what do we understand? This is the value of the x, and this is the value of the y. All right? So going back to the problem, f of 2, it should be equals to -1. Now, the next question is we want to determine the domain of the function f. So what we're going to do here, if you are looking for the domain is, the domain of f is the projection of the graph on the x-axis. So what the meaning of this? It means that you're going to cast the shadow of the graph on the x-axis. So basically, if I have a flashlight from this side and a flashlight from this side, where the shadow is going to be casted, it's going to be casted on this axis here, which is the x-axis. So now this upper part is going to be casted on the bottom of the x over here. This upper part is going to be casted over here, and since the graph is going to keep going this direction, so the shadow is going to keep going all the way. And from the shadow from below, so this part is going to be casted here, over here. Okay. So now, where is the shadow is located at? On the x-axis. So because this is an empty point, it's going to be an empty as well here. Now, all of this is shadow. The shadow from above, this one, the shadow from below, and from here as well, the shadow from above, right? And this is going to keep going. So now, what would be the domain? I can read it starting from -4. Since -4 is an empty circle, so you're going to be a parenthesis, comma, and then you're going to keep going all the way toward +infinity. So this is +infinity, and always open from +infinity. So the domain of f is the open interval -4 +infinity. So now for C, we are looking for the range of f, and the range of f out of f, this is C. So it's the projection of the graph on the y-axis. And what the meaning of this? Again, we're going to do the projection on this axis, which is the y-axis here. So remember that the shadow could come from the right side, so from this side, or it could come up from the right side. So if you have a flashlight, you hold it this side, the shadow is going to cast this way, right? Okay, so let's see. So the shadow of the coming from the left is going to shadow this part, and the shadow from the right, you're going to cast it here, and you're going to keep going and stop there. Now, there is one thing, that this graph here is going to keep going from this direction, and this means that the shadow can keep being casted all the way from this direction. Okay, so now let's read our interval. So since this point is attained, the point here is going to be shaded. This is a shadow. You're going to go all the way up, 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 and here, although it is empty, but still the shadow is going to be a shaded point. So that's a shaded point here, right? And beside, there is another shadow is coming from this side, so the shadow is going to keep going. So this shadow is going to go all the way to +infinity. And always you read the interval from negative points to positive. So this is a -2, and the range of this function, you're going to start from -2 all the way to plus infinity. So for -2, because you are reaching the point, is a shaded point, that's a bracket, and from plus infinity is always open. So here we have a, f of 2 is going to be -1. We have the b, which is the domain, and domain is going to be the open interval -4 plus infinity, and this is b, and the range is going to be the interval close at -2 plus infinity open. For question D, we want to find the interval where the function is increasing. It means going upward, and that's going to be this going upward. However, we don't read it on the y-axis, we read it always on the x-axis. So this is going to start going upward from 1, and we take the points always open, and it goes all the way to plus infinity since this graph keep going, right? So the increase in the interval, you're going to start from 1, open, comma, plus infinity. So that will be D. For question D, we are looking for the graph is decreasing, and we can see decreasing going downward is on this area. So whenever we want to separate it on the x-axis, we're going to stop here, and then it's starting from -1 right here. So this is the interval that you should write down. It start from -1, open, and comma, stop at 1. And finally, we are looking for the interval where the function is constant, and constant it means going horizontally, and that's going to be the projection on the x-axis. So you're going to start from -4, open, and stop at -1, and this is going to be the constant. So here you're going to be constant on -4, comma, -1. So this is a D, this is a E, and this is a F, and that's all.